thanks firstly for the opportunity to share. I've done a session already, a public consultation session, which was really well attended by members of the
Hello.
community. Hey, Jeff, how are you, mate?
Oh, good. Finally, I've been trying to talk and test, and I've tried everything, but I just pressed a button and away it came.
Good to go.
Okay.
So we've had a very good turnout to that one, and as I said to Ian when I was talking, and hi Ian, I know you're online there. I don't
Yeah.
anticipate this will be the last time that we'll discuss. We are committed at Amalgamated to actually working with people, and we had a really good result down at the Griffin, down on Constitution Avenue, and where we actually had the community councillors from Reed and Campbell, representatives from the inner south as well, actually turned the sod for us on the site. So it wasn't just a tokenistic thing. We worked for a good 6 to 8 months in early design and then came back and reconvened about 3 months post that and worked through issues when we went through with the planning bodies. So hopefully we'll be doing the same with you. We're committed to it, and we hope that that's the way that we can go through this. So without further ado, I'll see if I can do that magic of scaring that screen again and make it actually work. Give me a second, everybody. Hopefully you can see the blue screen right now.
Yep.
No worries. Sorry if this comes a little bit small when we go it and when we go through here. And hopefully it's going to allow me to share.
You've got 128 slides, Michael.
Yes, that's what I said. There's not going to be 128.
Okay,
So, it's giving me an issue where it's not allowing me to share the second screen there, guys. Okay, let me just stop that and I'll pull up the next screen, which we actually need to look at, and then I'll come back to you. First point of context is I'll give that it's not known as, it won't be known as Turner Place. We left it as Turner Place simply because of it was known that way when the ACT government was doing the site for a sale, and we obviously wanted to not make it difficult for people to understand what it was when we did the community consultation. You might have seen an article in the paper a little while ago. We had a person from Yarralumla saying, please don't name it Turner Place, which we never had any intention of. It was just for our community consultation. So anyway, moving on. Everyone knows where the site is, I assume. We're looking straight down Northbourne Avenue. The red is where the site is, right next to Hague Park. It's a lovely patch of Canberra real estate. We're very excited about the opportunity that it affords us to do a really quality development on it. We've had a, sorry guys, I have to stop sharing every time I want to change pages. This is a problem with Zoom. It doesn't like the format, sorry. What we did is we went through with the process here. We did a extensive public consultation, a design competition on this one, and a really long and protracted process to get the best outcome, what we believe, for this site to be. So we went through with 5 architectural firms, national architecture firms, that came up with a design competition for the site. And they took into consideration all manner of things. And then out of that, we had a panel from ourselves, internal staff members, and had an external architect also sit on a panel to select who we thought would be the best person to work through with. And where we actually ended up with was with SJB, who are an architect out of Sydney. They're actually doing the Yarralumla brickworks for the Doma Group site as well, coincidentally. They're doing Barangaroo. They've got some beautiful design concepts and ideas. So they've done what I'm going to share with you tonight. And I'm going to have to abbreviate this a bit, Jocelyn, because there's this chopping and changing the screen. Sorry, it won't open multiple ones for some reason. But they had some very strong design ideas about how they saw the site. First and foremost, I saw it as a courtyard concept in the internal of the site. Stepped roof gardens coming away from Northbourne Avenue, dropping down to what we have here in Turner on Forbes Street, and a reinforced boulevard. I think probably the best explanation I've ever heard from an architecture firm talk about what is the avenue, what is Northbourne Avenue, and the response to Northbourne Avenue. I don't think it's been, from their words, had it been done really well previously, because it's always broken down. It's such a wide boulevard. It's over 70 meters wide from edge to edge when you take the the trees on the verges on either side. And we've got a 10-metre setback here. So you need to have something of significance to actually stop and make it not look like an accident that it's there. And I'm not speaking ill of any other developments. I won't even mention them down the boulevard, the avenue, which is Northbourne Avenue. But we wanted to have something here that actually marked that this is the start of the city centre. We're right near the CBD, obviously, 400 metres from Braddon, and 800 to 1,000 metres, depends which way that you want to mark that, as you go through with into the city centre itself. So I'll just show you the inspirational imagery, and I'm doing a lot of clicking here. Sorry, everybody. This is the type of boulevard that they saw when they looked at the site and drew their inspiration off. Obviously, we've got some classic ones from Bath in England here, and from in Europe, all through in Austria as well, and London. So they've seen a very proud building, a very civic-natured building, and I think that's something we probably haven't seen as we've gone down Northbourne Avenue to date. A really civic building that says, "Hey, I am here." But then as you go inside the building, it has something that's more akin to, and they took inspiration off one here, which is Casbah. It's an international award-winning design they did in Surrey Hills in Sydney. And then some UK, which we have an old feel, obviously around Forbes Street there with the oaks all the way down through there, and a real secluded a private space for the residents who live there. That needs to be paired, obviously, with the cross-site links that are required with this site. Sorry, I'm just going to keep sharing screens and dropping them in and out. I apologise, but it's the only way I can get it to turn pages. I'm not quite sure why. So this is the rooftop garden, and I'm going to zoom in on this as much as I can for you. Imagery that they wanted to see happen, and they've actually done this on this project in Sydney. This is actually in the Sydney, in Surrey Hills, just near Casbah, not far from that. But this is actually the rooftop garden that they achieved, and it's quite spectacular when you're up there. And that's something we wanted to see, a softening and an integration across that treetop canopy, which is the inner north. And what I think everyone loves about Canberra is having that greenery sit through on that there. So, yep, still not going to let me change pages. Sorry, people. So I'm just going to go through from where they came through from concept, and bearing in mind, Ian and Jochen, this is going to be not the last time I'll work with you guys on this. I'm just going to go through to the actual concept drawing they had there, because I don't want to lose everybody with my multiple clicks here. So this is the concept that we presented to the NCDRP. This is Hague Park that's here. This is Northbourne Avenue here, Hotel Rex and the Austin across the way through here. Condamine Street down through here, Forbes Street. So there has to be a mid-site link as you go through, which connects the suburb of Turner through to the transport corridor, which is Northbourne, and the light rail that goes through there. So this was the original concept that we went to the panel with, and then it altered slightly as we went back from there, only just slightly, but it was through many, many iterations and many conversations with the likes of the NCA and workshops with two of the architects who were on the panel in Sydney to have this link more reinforced, and to have these pedestrian links through the top ends of the sites also reinforced as well. And having a arrival position here, which has a concierge here as well, which gives a sense of arrival to the people here, as well as arrivals all off the front. And I'll get to the next slide so I can show you what that actually looks in actual practice when we go through. You'd be glad I'm getting through that 128 pages very quickly there, Jochen. I hope everyone's had a chance to look at our presentation that's been on our website. I can share that with you, your community council, if you like, as well, a link to that out of this meeting if you'd like to, team. So this is what we end up with, and I've condensed 3 drawings because I can't flip through them. Apologies for that. Which is these pedestrian links, that supplementary pedestrian links that link through the site as we go through. The main cross-site link, and there's two of them. There's one here that's open to the sky, both of them are open to the sky, sorry, but this is outside of the building footprint in its entirety. There's a 10-metre setback that goes all the way down through here, and the tree is actually preserved on the side as well, and so is the current one here as well. So this is actually a green built zone that's on natural ground, so that will actually grow anything else that's planted in here, and these trees will be preserved as we go through. The other cross-site link here is actually around this tree, which is existing on the site, which is also looking to be preserved. And the site actually cuts around that whole tree from the basement perspective. These trees here are also looking to be preserved along the front and along the back there as well. And then you've got individual courtyard entrances which go into these ones, but not to buildings, just individual courtyards. So it reads as a residential format as it does on Forbes Street. There's not vast glass facade entries into here. This is reads as courtyard. There's only the 3 entry points off here, plus the cross-site link as you go through. The same as we go down here, but the introduction of the blue here is for your entrances off Northbourne and around the back coming into the site and around the back into these buildings as we go through as well. Sorry, team, I'll just see if I can flip to the next one as we go through. I'm just going to show you some of the imagery that's coming from the architect's intent. These are very rudimentary models because we're still in design phase, but you can see what they're attempting to do here. This is on Northbourne Avenue, where they've got a solid brick base and bringing that column structure that we're looking at from the Bath house, the inspiration that I showed you earlier on, and a solid facade to the building as we go up and punching into that building footprint to give privacy to the occupants in here and also from externally with good passive surveillance coming down, but not to feel like it's looking straight down on. It's not a myriad of glass as it goes through. So you've got a real good base to the building, a strong mid, and then a top which floats off because of the lightning of the colour as it goes through there. The materiality of that is still being worked through with the architects and still being costed from a cost plan point of view to make sure we can make everything work as well. This is showing the approach on Forbes Street, which is obviously a lot smaller, a lot lower rise. So you've got, again, the 2-story base to the building, then the mid, and then the top edge of it. Again, lightning off as it goes off. These are very rudimentary models out of their software. They're not marketing renders or anything like of that ilk. They'll be produced when we get to a position with the authority that everything is working and working well. Sorry, team, I'm just going to click through so we can see the response that we've worked through.
Michael?
Yes.
Is there any chance of that overshadowing the houses on Forbes Street?
No, because of the axis of where the sun, we're 7 degrees off north here. I've actually got solar here that I can show you. I'm just clicking through so I can show you the
it looks reasonable. I just wanted to make sure that that's okay.
Yeah. It's something that we considered very early on,
right.
And it's in our considerations right throughout from the start. We understand, obviously, no one would choose to have a 7-story building built next to you. I understand that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that's what anyone would be looking to do. But I can't tell you, some people, I say to usually when I meet with people, I can't tell you what you want to hear, but what I will tell you at all times is the truth. So we take those things and our orientation in a site context, and I had about 20 drawings to show you all, but by the time I click through them, it'd take forever. We do that for day one, because it doesn't matter how good a design is from our design team. If they don't take the site context into consideration from day one, it's failed. It will fail. So we do a lot of work with that, with the master planning and the urban planning infrastructure to make sure it fits in and doesn't jar with what's in the local community. So I'm just going to show you some of the architectural imagery of where they're looking to take them from. This is actually one of their buildings that they've done in the Circular Quay. It's an award-winning building, and that's the brick element they're looking to replicate and bring that softness and that earth touch to the building. I'm so sorry, guys. I have to drop these out every 2 seconds. It's called the Young and Loftus building. I've just got another one here I can show you, just the quality of what these guys do. It's this one here, the Young and Loftus building. And then they've taken a lot from New York and London, very civic-minded buildings and looking to do them in a way that will sit in with the Canberra infrastructure. This is what they're looking at like for the internal, giving you an idea of how you move in through a building as you go internally. This is the internal courtyard of Casbah, which is an award-winning one. And you can see here where there's a pedestrian link through the building, and there's a permeation of a line of sight through the building. That's literally that photo there is taken at the other end of that there. We're obviously not looking to do render as we go up here. We've got a much higher integrated finish, what we're looking to do with a Kime product, which is an applied finish, more like a stain to a concrete, and has a 25-year guarantee. So it's not paint with our harsh climate here in Canberra. It's something that we need to be very mindful of, that we need to have a product that's going to survive the journey as we go forward. So I'll just give you an idea of what this would look like as we come down Northbourne. We'll go to the master plan. So this is just showing you the concepts that we've had. So we had a design competition, as I said earlier, with 5 different members. And then outside of that, once we selected SJB, this is about the 15th iteration, and it's by far not the final iteration of the design. We're still in design. We're not lodging a DA just yet. And this is where we went with the competition scheme through to the NCDRP, the first scheme that we presented to them, and then when we've ended up as we've gone through and changed on the building format. You can see the curves that have started to come into the building format, and just a lot of detail that goes in there to break down the building mass, but also give that civic nature to the building, which is something that we're very keen to make sure that we achieve, given the location, and I think the importance of it as well. And this is looking back in Forbes Street as well. There's been some slight changes to this as we've gone forward. There's three buildings that run down through here, and then the fourth one on the end here as well, which has obviously the basement entry and the substation, which fortunately are 2 things we can't control. They're required by the ACT government, and we don't have any control over some of the service provisionings on those ones, which others can probably on this call can attest to. It's a juggling act. So this is looking in the internal courtyard concept of it, and that real garden feel of a New York type and London type terrace feel is what we're trying to achieve in this one here. Sorry, I'm just going to click through to the, I'll just show you where the basements run so everyone can then be familiar with what I was talking about with the trees. It's one of the considerations that we had from proponents when we were talking, as a proponent, when we were talking with the public consultation. This is it. You can go past that tomorrow. You'll know that tree when you see it straight at the front. There's another beautiful one right at the front, 2, should say, that we're looking to keep there. So we're actually cutting the basement completely around that building. The same on this one here and this one here. They're cutting the basements around to make sure they actually grow. So there's a vast area around this site. There's actually going to be deep root zone, true deep root zone, not just us telling you it's a deep root zone, which is an overgrown ashtray. It's not something that I like to do on our sites. We like to make sure that it's going to be something that actually works.
Michael?
Yes, sorry.
Is the driveway entrance to the car parking on Northbourne? Or
No,
it's
not allowed to be on Northbourne. It's actually a part of the planning requirements.
Okay.
It's not allowed to come off Northbourne.
That's good.
Yeah, it's actually here on Forbes Street.
Okay.
Okay, so it's the existing crossover that's currently there because we've got trees, significant trees that we're retaining. Right. We've actually worked very hard with Icon. We've got a water main upgrade that needed to occur. We looked at underboring all the way across here and not on the other side of the street, which was an open cut trench, which would have automatically given me about 12 angry neighbours from day one, which I didn't want to have happen. So we've actually managed to get them to agree to go outside their provisions and come along the front of Northbourne for that. And not interrupt anyone on Forbes Street at all, which I think will be a great result for all parties involved. So that's where the entry to that's the waste truck there, and that's the entry to the basement that comes through there. What we've done on that rationale on that one there, the entry point to the basement was off here. A secondary exit is allowed off here to go out off here, not in, but out off here. But all that would do is put the queuing onto this street and also Forbes, where we can actually have queuing inside our basement with our basement arrangement. And we've allowed for that to hopefully give us little interference. Obviously, we're going to be interference. We're a large-scale unit development coming onto Forbes Street, but as least impact as we can have on the owners in Forbes Street, and obviously on Condamine Street as well, because it is a heavily transported zone. And that would allow people to come out, left out, down and make a choice and go back around and into the city centre. So we've got a very big mix of site. I'll just take it up another level so you can see it's a bit easier without all the basement entryways on there. This just shows the mix of the units as we go up the building. The ones are the orange, you can see here. Twos are the purple, and green is 3-bedroom units. So we've got from our market research, we're actually the largest mix of 3-bedroom units across the whole of Northbourne Avenue. The only one that would get close to us would be Space historically. So we see there's a real market there. We did a really and self-praise is no recommendation, but we got a commendation in the latest MBA awards. My other project at Woden beat us for Project of the Year for our category at the Griffin, and the same at our one at Woden at Oaks. We have a larger offering of apartment size, generally about 20% larger, and we've kept to that model on what we've done here as well. We've seen a real growth in what we like to call right sizes, not downsizes. I call them right sizes, because you've got people out there in the marketplace that are choosing to change the way that they live, whether it be young professionals, and we had that at the Griffin, to new couples with small children, and right through to people who are going, well, we've got empty nesters, we'll downsize our large home, but we still want to have a good size home. We don't want to be in a 1-bedroom shoebox. So that's what we've done here as well, and we've given that with our car parking provisions for those as well inside our basement. So we take that quite seriously, because it actually means a difference from us between being a successful project and an unsuccessful project from a marketability point of view. It's something that we need to get right every time when we do it. I'm just going to show you some cross sections, and I'll probably stop talking then, because you guys might want to ask me. Well, maybe I might just throw it over you, Jocelyn. If anyone's got questions, I can probably answer them, and I can point you to other pages on their website and things for the public consultation documentation.
Thanks, Michael. I was just trying to text you then.
Oh, sorry, mate.
That's all right. Questions, Ernestine?
Do any of the units have...
Jeff, I just asked Ernestine because she has her hands up.
No one's talking.
No, that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can now.
I have 3 questions. I promise I'll be quick. The first one is there any affordable housing in this complex?
No, there's no provisions for affordable housing required for the ACT government on this one. So those will be market.
The next one is, I went to the community consultation and several people raised the height of the buildings, which Jeff indicated earlier on Forbes Street. A couple of people indicated with the space development that the buildings that are on that western side, I think, is that also Forbes Street? I forget if it changes.
It is, yeah, further down, yeah. Yeah.
It's only 3 stories, and people ask why there wasn't a requirement for this development to also be 3 stories on that boundary.
Yeah, I didn't write the planning codes on it, so I can only give you where we're allowed to go to, and we've workshopped that quite heavily, and that we're actually able to go to those heights. There are rules and process.
After this, you can show us the solo diagrams that you indicated.
Yep. I'll pull them up while you get the other
question. Actually, I should have started with a positive. I love that you're keeping the trees. That's great. Not many people do.
Yeah, we'd love to do it if we can, definitely.
Yeah. The last question is, at that community consultation, you made it quite clear that you would be submitting the DA within weeks. I actually wrote that down. I'm just looking at my notes. But now you're saying that it's still in the design phase, so I'm a bit confused about that. Are you waiting for the new Planning Act and the new...
No, I'd actually prefer to go under the current one, to be honest with you.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and move forward. But we need to get our design right. The last thing that I want to do, and that's why I say this won't be the last time I talk to you, the members of the council here. As we change and adapt our design, as we find market feedback from contractors, what we can and can't build, And that is a real consideration for us at the moment. You've seen a lot of media right across Australia. We deal with, in Queensland as well. I look after our interest in the Gold Coast at the moment, and a lot of building collapses and a lot of builders, which we hit here with some builders here in the ACT as well, and subcontractors. So we need to make sure that we can actually build what we're telling you we can build. So that's the reason we're just doing some final estimates and costings. Very important to do as well, but also making sure trade requirements can actually fit what we want to do.
Because you've only really got a couple of months if the new Planning Act or...
Yeah, it's the 27th of next month, really. Well, it's the 29th of 27th of November, I think, is when it comes into effect. I'm not worried about it either way. For us at Edison, it's got to be to get the right design outcome and the right process.
Yeah, no,
I'll show you that shadow diagram as well while we got that. So,
thank you. That was it. That's what I had on my list.
Ramon.
Okay.
There's the shadow diagrams, guys.
Hang
So we're
on.
looking at midwinter, the worst condition that you've got coming through. So at 9 a.m, you can see it's just touching the front edge of the yards on this side. Then we shadow to ourselves, and then we shadow Northbourne Avenue.
So that was for Jeff.
Hey, Michael. My name's Ramon.
Hey, Ron.
I really love the building. I really like the provision of all the 3 beddies as well. I think that's a really good part of the plan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this development's going in on a CZ5 zone. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So is there any provision for any commercial real estate on this one? Or
no, there won't be on this one. We're 400 metres. We took a lot of market intel on that. We're 400 metres at our closest point to Braddon. What the last thing we want to do is see another trader go the wrong way up. So that's the decision. And the secondary component to that is the waste generation that would have and the impact that would have on the Forbes and Turner community, because you would have an upcycling of waste, traffic movement, which would be quite significant. We've had a lot of people say, oh, we'd love to have a coffee shop there, and I understand that. But with that comes a whole heap of servicing issues that I don't think people quite appreciate until they're going, why is there a milk truck here at 4 a.m. in the morning?
Fair enough. Yeah. Appreciate the answer.
Yep.
So now it's my turn because I put my hand up. Look, one thing you can't do much about it, but along Northbourne Avenue, a lot of public housing has been destroyed. And in many ways, I feel your block would be perfect for public housing. This is not what you can do anything about, but that is something we are very concerned with. The second is, in all the developments along Northbourne Avenue, I don't see a creation of public space and community. And just in your project, where is the playground for kids? You're bringing in over 400 people and families.
Yep. There's Hague Park right next door with a playground in it.
So you sent them across the road.
That's you want to have. You
Michael,
want to have.
I'll just correct you. There's no playground in Hague Park.
So in the top end, there is in Braddon.
There is no playground in Hague Park. Okay,
I'll stand corrected then.
Only because I'm in Braddon and I know that, and we're fighting for one, and we don't have one.
Okay. Well, so that from our point of view, we've done them before in our development in Woden. We did a massive softball playground, croquet courts, all sorts of parks and facilities in there. So we considered that what we do and what we put into our designs. We see this very much in line with what we did at Amaya in Griffith, which is quiet spaces that people look down onto and have a feeling of space internally, and then they utilise what is around them in the community. The one at the Griffin, we did exactly the same thing because it connects by direct underpass into Commonwealth Park. So this is right literally across the road from Hague Park. So there is immense public facility around that.
Yes.
So no, I was talking about safe playgrounds for kids. So can you consider accommodating that still on your footprint?
Oh, we can look at that as we move forward in design, but we've made a pretty clear path where we believe we need to go with this product, and we tested it out with all our market segments, and we think we got it right from our historical projects. That seems to be what is the accepted and what is usually what is uptaken by our ownership.
So
I appreciate your point. Yeah.
Yeah. My last question is, I'm really interested in that you managed to have a design competition, because community has always asked for that, but on a community consultation level. And we were always told that design competition for major projects are too expensive.
They're very expensive.
How did you do this?
We
I'm
paid for it.
interested because I want to confront everybody else with this model.
We paid for it. We made the decision, and obviously it's a significant investment. If you look at the price of the purchase price of the land, it's nearly $60 million. So we paid for it. And that's what we do when we work with people. We did no different on the Griffin, the same situation to design comp, and we pay for the designs.
Yeah, but in the end, see, the frustrating bit for community is that we are not involved in the design competitions by deciding sort of what we would maybe prefer, but we are in the end then confronted with a solution, like in your case.
Yep.
So I'm interested, and I don't know whether you want to tell me or not, how much does it cost to have such a design competition with 5 architectural firms?
It can run up to about $100,000, depending on what project you're running.
Well, that's out of the kitty.
For who?
That's not a huge expense.
It's Josh. That's I don't know anybody who thinks $100,000 is not a large expense. We certainly do.
Jesus, you have a 200 million project there on your hands.
Yeah, but it's still a big expense. If you're spending $100,000, it's a lot of money. Respectfully, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I'm happy if you want to chip in.
No. Look, easy. That would be easy. No.
It is a big expense. When you're paying for that,
you provoke me to ask the next question is, what's your profit margin on this project?
That's commercial in confidence.
Yeah,
I won't go through it.
I know. So, but it's surely not $100,000, no?
No, it's not. Look, you need bank funding to get anything to run, and there's parameters to go on that. But look, it's a long time between drinks. It's over 12 months. It will come out 12 months now since purchase. So it's a long time to hold $60 million.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, 2 questions.
Ian. Jeff, you haven't put your hands up. Ian.
I'm happy to defer to Jeff first, if you like, Jakob.
Okay, Jeff.
Okay, 2 questions. One, are you planning to have any studies in the building? Any of the 1-bedroom units with studies?
No, some of the 3-bedroom units have a proper 3-bedroom and a study. No, we're not looking to put 1+ studies. They're actually 2s, mate.
Car parking ratio. I know it's different on Northbourne Avenue because there's a commercial zone, but what are you notionally planning to have with your
we give ones, obviously, to all the 1-bedrooms, 1.5 to the 2 bedrooms, and 2 to the 3s. Wherever we can, we'll actually go 2 to the 2 bedrooms as well.
Right, but sometimes the ACPLA stops you from doing that too.
They've actually requested us, NCDRP actually requested us to reduce the size of the basement already.
Okay, and visitor parking?
Sorry?
Visitor parking?
Inside the basement.
Okay. To the ratio?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's all I want to hear.
No worries. Look, it's something that we were aware. Obviously, we're not naive. We know that the NCC, Triple C, I should say, has had ACAP matters with other developments all down the corridor. And that's something we'd like to work through with people rather than end up at ACAP against people that we're going to be neighbours with at the end of the day. So I looked at through the proceedings that were there and said the main concerns I seen was traffic and parking. So we made that commitment early on to ourselves.
Thanks. Ian?
Thanks, Joachim. Thanks, Michael, for the presentation. It's been really good. And I do refer people to your website. I think that website is really user friendly and well done. I think really
Thank you.
informative. So I've had a look at quite a few of those different websites for big buildings, and that's a good one. Just on a couple of things. Firstly, just picking up Joachim's point, I think the $100,000 that you spend in a design comp, you must have thought that was would provide you with a commercial advantage to regarding the quality and the contemporary nature of the design. And I think it does reflect in what you've chosen and its relevance to Canberra. So I think that's 100,000. I agree with Joachim. I think that's not very expensive to get some high quality design rather than a car park wrapped in glass. What sort of market testing did you need to do to decide to increase the number of 3-beddies and also to increase the size of the apartments themselves? How did you go about that? Because again, that you must have done that for the return you believed it was going to give you commercially.
Yeah, we have it across. That's our buying demographic seems to follow us. Amalgamated has got a very good reputation, which we're very proud of. And we have purchasers that follow us. For instance, when we re-entered ourselves into the Queensland market this year, we had buyers that went from our projects here in Canberra and purchased there just simply because it was us. So we've found historically, and it's really been since our Ivy project at Woden, where we broke that one out of the mould to make that people from Garran, people from Hughes, Curtin would have never previously thought about living in Woden. But there was no offering there for them to live in Woden. And it's just a spectacular, I don't know if you've seen that project. The views out of it are extraordinary, right across Canberra. And what we did, we were 20% larger than anyone else in the market at that size. And the market followed us. So it's when I say it's right sizing too, it's allowing our biggest buying demographic is young female professionals, 25 to 50. 49, I usually say, because I get in trouble from the 25-year-olds if I put them in the 50-year-old category. So the 48-year-olds are really happy with me. But they're our largest buying demographic, young female professionals. And generally they want to stay, what we found is they want to stay in place. So it'll be, guys buy units like they buy their pair of jeans. They don't fit it. They go out and buy one. They don't think. They don't program. And that's what we found in our market research from our end of our projects is nearly exclusively male purchases. Female purchases are all up front. They're planned out and they're methodically planned out. So they want to have a space where they can possibly have a partner and then possibly have a child, maybe a second child in the same dwelling before they move out. That's what we found has happened over the last, we've been testing it now for nearly 10 years. So that's why we've made that decision. And when I look at what else is up the corridor.
So it's really based on past sales experience.
Yep. And current market offering. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What sort of proportion would you have of investors in your development?
Canberra is very interesting for investors. So because the public service sector here is so strong and they're super, there's actually a lack of investors from Canberra because it's easier for them to keep it inside their preserved benefit super. That's just been straight with you.
Yeah,
we're seeing that start to alter and probably the last 3 years. And I think that's the quality of offering and return that we've given and security of tenure is what I think, with our unit mix is offer people. It's a set and forget investment for those that probably aren't in the public service or looking to diversify their superannuation. So we're starting to see them come back and we're getting people nationally coming to us.
So proportionally, what do you think?
Oh, you'd be less than 30%, less than that. Historically, when I look at Ivy, it was like 93% owner-occupied. So it's moved out there slightly from that. I think the last one that we would have finished out with the Griffin was probably more like a 20% investor base by the time it finished.
And last question for me, because I'm sure there'll be others who want to ask questions. When you first approached and I asked you initially, it was really about the environmental sustainability of the site, and I think you provided some really good answers to that. Do you think commercially that making an offer that has the renewable energy, solar, electric car chargers, all electric, do you think that's a commercially attractive offering? And would you go carbon neutral for the whole development for your residents?
For the end user you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, obviously, it is a very changing marketplace in terms of energy. And we utilise a company out of Melbourne that actually do our assessment, because the marketing gimmicks that some of the traders come up with are quite extraordinary. So you're going, oh, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm just a simple country boy. Explain that to me again. So they do that all for us. What we're finding is there is significant savings for when you're looking at solar panels producing for the common areas. There's a big in for the strata levies. And having on this one in particular, having the EV system in place from day dot, because that is the biggest challenge it's going to be for existing sites, is to retrofit EV. It's very, very warmly welcomed.
Okay. Do you think that offers you a commercial advantage? Because I've seen a few of the big developments lately offering, to be high tech and to be, climate aware. So do you think that's becoming a commercially...
I still don't think it's caught up with it, to be honest with you. No,
Yeah.
I don't think it's caught up with it. And if you look at, I think the research out there, just in terms of the cost of an electric vehicle compared to a normal car, people love the concept, but it's the affordability factor where it comes down to. So that's still coming. That's still a market force that hasn't quite reached it here yet. But this is going to be a Green Star building. So that will have an impact for the end user here quite significantly. And they won't know that till they're in that. So they're going to get a nice surprise, I think, Ian, on this one.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, Michael. I think we need to end the discussion here, and I don't see anybody else wanting to ask a question. So thanks heaps for the presentation and being here. You hinted at that this would not be the last time you want to meet NCCC. What does that mean?
I just said it's not the last opportunity for us to speak. I don't consider this, I'm ticking a box and I'm done. I welcome conversations, and I think Ian can attest to that. I've already reached out numerous times and fed back information. I'm happy to do that throughout the process. And even when we've lodged, I'd always prefer people to come to me and say, Mike, this is what we love, this is what we hate. I'll go, great, let's put it in the DA submission. Why wait for public consultation? Should be that we work together and I tell you what I can and I can't do. And if you come up with a great idea, and if you had to convince me about the child playground in it, and I'll take it back and test with our people again, our landscape architects as well, I'm happy to hear that type of input. Anyone else has got comments? I'd much rather you raise it with me day one, and I'll say, look, I can do this or I can't do this for this reason, and these are the reasons for it. Then I just wait until I submit a DA. It's all done. It's all drawn. It's all finished. We're committed to it. We're costing it. We're moving down the road. And then you put a complaint into ACLA, and I go, well, it's too late for me to do anything about it. So I'd much rather work with you up front.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
So, Michael, once pre-DA consultation doesn't exist anymore as of November, would you still take that approach in the future?
Yep. Always done it my whole career, and I won't stop doing it.
No, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, I take it from the fact that if my mum and dad were living next door to this development, what would I do? And I know what I would do. So I'd want to know everything about it and get the best outcome from my parents. And that's how I take that attitude. Or, I've got daughters as well now, the same situation. I want to be informed and know what I'm in for, so I can make an informed decision about where I live and whether I stay there. I'll go, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And okay, my value is going to go up, or, I just don't want to live next to this, so I'm going to sell.
Can I just ask one quick one, Joachim? One really quick one.
Yep.
Thank you. Michael, with the car parking, it seems that you guys are having high ratio of car parking for each unit, whereas when you look at quite a few of the other buildings up and down Northbourne at the moment, they're really trimming back the amount of car parking they're providing for residents, which I think for a lot of us in inner north, it means that the car parking spills into the local neighbourhood. So what you must have done some research to say, well, you know, if you've got a two-beddie, a lot of people are going to have two car parks. So is that what you did? Is it scientific?
It happens every development. We get asked for extra car parks by buyers. So planners want less, buyers want more. Unfortunately, we're still reliant on the car here in Canberra, and it is in our psyche, whether we like it or not. I know we're on the transport corridor, but it's a fact. So I can either fight that, or I can actually listen to what the market tells me and what the community tells me and plan for that. And that's what we choose to do at this stage.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Could you press your consultation philosophy onto the government agencies in Canberra, please? Thanks, Michael. That was good.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time, everybody. I love you and leave you and let you to your meeting. And I'm happy to talk to anyone. So you can get my details off Ian.
Yeah. Thanks heaps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leo.